Glenn Parker High Vibration Foundation. I wanted to talk about equitable exchange and the idea of money today, and if you're having any struggles in the idea of what is an equitable exchange and the idea of receiving money or giving money and this flow of money like anything else. Money is, for the most part, not sentient, but it is alive. It is animated. It does have a flow, a stream, and it, the more money you flow, the more it generally has a term to flow back to you. So for an example, whether you're a spiritual practitioner or if you're a doctor or dentist or life coach or whatever you do, establishing this fair trade of money or not wanting to take money for trade at all, which some people do for a long, long time in different types of practices because they feel that money bad. And that it's not spiritual. Now keep in mind, first and foremost, from the eyes of spirit, the greater being that you are, everything is equal. Nothing has any fundamental meaning. It is all spiritual. It is something that's created within all that is. It is an aspect of all that is. Money is an aspect of all that is. It is part of God. It is part of Yahweh. An organic connection between all living things, whatever label you want to put on it. It doesn't care. It's a label made within existence. So this idea that you're putting labels on things, that you're putting, these limiters on it, come from a more idea of neutrality, and that from the idea of spirit, life is fundamentally meaningless. You give it meaning. When you see something, for instance, if I say red rabbit, did you have an emotional response to that? Probably not, because you have no emotional attachments to that. If I say $10,000, you might go, ooh, that's a lot of money, or like, whatever, that's not a lot of money, depending on where you are. And that emotional attachment, and that is many different types of things of resistance or not having resistance, and putting meaning on it. You put meaning on it because you had a belief system on it. So that's what we're going to talk about, is belief systems and money. And the fact that it is neutral. It is as an idea neutral. Everything as an idea is neutral. You didn't have a response to Red Rabbit because you had no emotional attachment to it. When I said $10,000, you had some kind of emotional attachment to it. Either like, ooh, or oh, or whatever it happened to be. So this idea of exchange between people is fundamentally what you have attached to it. You may think money is bad, or that it's not spiritual, and that you don't want to charge for your services because you want to give back for something that's been done for you, and that's all perfectly fine. But don't devalue money. It is a good thing. Now there's some inequity in the world around money. I do recognize that, and I'm going to acknowledge that there is a lot of inequity around money around the world. That there is a lot of imbalance, but fighting against that is what creates more of that. So understand that, again, neutrality, that let that happen and it will go and run out its course, and then as we create new economic systems, as time goes on, the old will fall away and the new will come up. So there's no need to worry about that. It will all self-resolve itself. So again, about this idea of money and trying to consider some kind of equitable exchange for yourself. Let's say for the same type of person, let's say life coaching, somebody might want to charge $50 an hour. Some people charge $300 or more per hour. And all of that is fine. It is within your value system. I think Bashar's threshold of believability, trying to, hanker down, like, what is it that's bothering me, why do I believe this, is a very good tool for all kinds of different things, even for your value systems on money. Why you're valuing so much, why don't you think you can charge that extra, charge $100 instead of $50 or whatever it happens to be. It's a very good mechanism to ferret out those types of things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, type in Bashar and the threshold of believability on YouTube, and you'll have plenty of information. So again, I think you're devaluing yourself if you're not charging properly. Now, I'm not saying that you have to charge, or that you have to charge a certain amount for whatever it is you do. But if you're going to a dentist, you have an expectation that there's going to be a monetary exchange. If somebody is coming to you and saying, hey, I want your particular service, whatever it is that you do, there should be an expectation of a monetary exchange, because it is a current understanding within our collective consciousness that there is money and that it does have a particular value and that there is some kind of exchange. And consider the money that flows between people. Let's say this person comes to you and you agree on $50 for whatever it is that you're going to do. You get that $50. That person is happy with the service they got. They have more value. They're now enriched, and they can do different things in their life that are more enriching than they were before. With your $50, you might go buy something from the store, whatever trinket or doodad that you're going to go get. Now, during the manufacturing process of that item, people around the world had logistics. They manufactured, they may have actually made that item and pieces to that item, and then the money that they receive for doing that, now, you know, they're buying food or they're perpetuating themselves. So they're starting a Kickstarter campaign to do a documentary that they always wanted to do. And then the people have value into those systems, and then other people have value into those systems. And the money flows and circulates around and around and around and around. Until such time as we will come to a point where there's unlimited energy in the free energy systems, and the physics is understood on basically making replicators to be able to replicate anything that you want, which has already started. They've actually transmitted carbon molecules from place to place, and I think quite a few of them at this point in time. So starting to get a grasp. If you can take something apart and put it back together at the end, then you understand its base components enough to be able to go, well, we can just make that. And I can make you a purse, or I can fabricate you some fabric, or make you whatever you want it is. And if there's unlimited energy to go behind that, then you're going to be able to make whatever it is. And then a monetary system will go down to a point where it really is just about equitable exchange in between two people. It's just an exchange of knowledge and services, where there's no money, for instance, and it's really more from a place of the value of the skills of the person. And there's much talk of this on the different channels. Bashar talks about this. KYRON talks about this a little bit. Adronis talks about this a little bit. Pleiadian Collective, you go, you know, Bashar really gets into detail. However, others do touch on this. So it is really well spoken upon as far as how that will kind of play out, or the possibility of it playing out, depending. So this idea of equitable exchange, I think, is from your own standpoint. You have to determine it. If you're saying that I don't want any value in my services, and you want people to come, and there's a lot of perception there when you don't have a monetary dollar value, adhere to your services, there's always the perception that they're not as valuable than when they do have a monetary value attached to it, very oddly. And I've seen this duplicated over and over again in such numerous studies, that if you actually go and have the same service, two different prices, you know, bullet point for bullet point, and even the same type of item sometimes, but generally services, it ferrets out better, that they have, people will have as a dominant tendency to pay for the higher service, because they somehow factor it into being more valuable than the one that had a lesser value, even though all the bullet points were particularly equal. So go figure. So this idea in the greater consciousness of most people is that more money is better. So the fact that you might not be charging as much money is much different than if you were charging money. And there's nothing good or bad about either of those points of view. I just think that if you're thinking of doing something and that you don't think that you want to charge for it, that you want to give it away, which is fine, just consider what has been discussed here as far as moving ahead and doing that, that a lot of times even a small donation request might actually have a better equitable exchange in that particular environment. So I hope that helps. I think that actually goes more in line with the idea of fair trade, where you do want to have some kind of fair and equitable trade, some kind of monetary dispensation between the two parties that are doing the transaction, so that there is some circulatory exchange of money and some circulatory exchange of energy. So I hope that helps. Love and light, and have a fantastic day.